Are you stuck in the same old routine at work? Do you find yourself hitting a creative wall, unable to see beyond your current perspective? It's time to break free and unlock the power of fresh perspectives. David Gouthro back with another episode of Discover Fresh Perspectives, and today as my guest I have Laura Shepard. Welcome, Laura.
Thank you, David. So happy to be here. Appreciate it.
So Laura is a fellow Canadian. Laura is living in the city that I spent the formative years of my life in, and you have snow there today. I don't know when this episode is going to come out, but there's definitely snow there now.
Yes, yesterday and today it is still here. It's winter.
And so, Laura, we were first chatting. You said that one of the things you do is help people realize that, well, and I'll paraphrase, more than just one way to live their life, right? So, maybe, could you just say a little bit more about that and how you came to that realization? Because I presume that comes from some personal experience of that too.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. I believe there are many ways that we can live our lives and we get to choose them, especially here in Canada. At least we're in a very, place in the world where we have potential and opportunity. So I believe we get to choose how we want to live our lives. And it comes from a very personal place because I am and was a high achiever. I still consider myself a high achiever, but my definition of what success and achievement is very different than what it was. I spent 25 plus years in the corporate world climbing the ladder, doing what I was supposed to do. And it was really awesome for the first part of my career. I loved it. I learned so much. I grew, I challenged. It was amazing. And then I kept doing it, but it wasn't as fulfilling. And I kind of woke up one day and my inner compass was spinning. And I'm like, what's next? There's got to be something more to life than all of this outward success. So I spent a lot of time, more than I probably wanted to, trying to figure out what my path was that would provide a different version of success, one that was a little more fulfilling and whole life for me versus here's my work life and here's my personal life.
So, Laura, how do you do that? Like when you're in a corporate environment where you're surrounded by other people that, maybe have, it's kind of this DNA of this is the way we're successful around here. We work hard, we put everything else aside, in the midst of that, it's kind of like swimming upstream. But how do you go about shifting that?
Yeah, that's the hard part and the fun part. And it's help. Getting help is how you go about shifting it. I tried doing it on my own. I am a strong, independent woman.
Hmm.
I can do this. And I had a hard time asking for help. And when I started asking for help and I started working with coaches,
Hmm.
I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, there's a lot going on here that I need to address within myself. That's where I figured out and learned that it's about what I choose and what I do and what I control, not what everybody else says and does.
And Laura, did you start taking this coaching when you were still in the midst of the corporate world or after you had decided it wasn't for you?
And no, during the corporate world, while I was still in it, I knew that there was something else. I didn't know how to do it. Now, I actually took a pivot, like halfway through my career. I had a career change because I knew there was something else. I wanted to be an entrepreneur. So I went to the Caribbean and I taught scuba diving and I drove boats.
Wow. That's a bit of a pivot.
Bit of a 180. Yes. I wanted to open my own scuba business. So I'd been in business I was a brand marketer in Canada, and it's like I knew about business and overarching and how to run business, and I wanted to do my own thing. So I wanted to work in it before I invested in it. So I went from, 6-figure salary to $40 a day plus tips.
But probably more often, more frequently having a smile on your face and sleeping well.
Yes, it was the best decision I'd made in my entire life. I spent 4 years exploring that world. I ended up not just deciding that it wasn't for me, but I was able to decide from a place of experimentation and learning and seeing it versus just I wish I had done that, point of view. So I came back, I did corporate again, and It was great because it's the way I knew how to make money, and I still had sort of that spin going on. And so after that's when I started going, okay, I need to work with someone to help me figure that out. And so I was worked with a couple, two different coaches. One got me on the journey. That was I treat that as my success of asking for help. It's like, okay, I can't do this on my own. And I got I achieved results, but I still couldn't figure it out. And then a couple of years later, I found another person that I connected deeply with, and I was able to get into what my purpose was in life, and how I want to show up and who I want to be. And that was powerful.
So how about, if you're okay with this, using me as an example of someone that you might be coaching? Let's say I'm stuck in that rut. I left Apple in 1987, so I've had my own company since then. But I can remember what that was like. It was pretty good, but there was a bit of a rat race. So, I've somehow discovered you, Laura, and I've said, "Help me. I don't really like the way that things are going right now. It's just, yeah, and I don't know how to get out." So, how, talk me through how we'd start working together.
Sure, that's great. Thank you so much. I start with exploring with anyone what's important to them. So it's like, what matters to you now, right? And and getting deep into people's core values. So it's not just, yeah, I want to make money, and money is a tool, for us to live our lives and continue. It's a good thing, and so we can always make money. But what else do you really want? So I'd start by saying, what's most important to you now, David?
Well, so I would think, I don't know if this is what I like or what I don't like, but I'd like to have more freedom. I'd like to not have to deal with the politics. I'm not saying that was the case at Apple, because I enjoyed it there, but I'd like to have more freedom. I'd like to probably not have to be working, not necessarily not as hard, but not as long.
Hmm.
So, have more freedom to do things that I enjoy, being more outdoors and things like
Hmm.
that. Uh, and I'd also like to be working with people that I really enjoy, and feel that my life on the planet is actually making a difference. It's too easy just to be a consumer of everything that's going on. And I'd somehow remember thinking about this, that, at the end of each day, I want to feel that the world is a little bit better place because I've been on it. So I don't know what that looks like, but those sorts of things.
Yeah, that's powerful. And it's like, it's what does freedom mean for you? What I'm hearing, it sounds like it's more time to do different things in your life, versus going to the office and working. Is
Yeah.
that fair?
Yeah, fair. And still working, but doing something meaningful, but less, fewer boundaries or guardrails that kind of
Yeah.
restrict what I do. Because I love being curious, and doing new things, and just, thinking about possibilities
Oh,
as
I
opposed
love
to,
that.
right. So
Yeah, no, that's fabulous, and it sounds like, you're not living in that fully at this point. If I were to ask you on a scale of 1 to 10, how are you? Where 1 is I'm not living that at all, and 10 is, I'm totally free. When you think about freedom and impact, what are you living at?
think about 4.93.
Okay, were you an engineer? Sorry.
Geologist, but close.
Oh, well, okay, sciences, I get it. There you go. 4.93. I love it. That's awesome. And where would you like to get to on a scale of 1 to 10?
Well, I think 9, because I'd always like to think that there's something more, but not 9 as a, maybe 9 as a resting place, but not a permanent. I mean, I think there's
Ooh, I like.
always more to learn and grow.
Yes, I love that. I love that. That's powerful. So, if I were to ask you, what does meaning, when you say you want to have impact and meaning, how does that look for you?
How does it look? Well, I think I'd be doing something that somehow I don't necessarily need the feedback, but I want to get a sense that there's some appreciation for what I'm doing. So it's not just, and nothing against government clerks and things like that, but pounding a stamp on a piece of paper That's really important for some people to get in their passport, but it's not the kind of thing that people would be overflow. Not that they need to be overflowing with gratitude, but somehow feeling that as a result of working with me, they got something that they wouldn't have got in the same way somewhere else from someone else.
I love that. So it involves people and impact, and your relationship to that. When in your life have you felt the most impactful in your life, where that feeling happens for you?
Well, I could still, and again, going back and forth between today and when I was at Apple, but feeling most meaningful when I could, run a workshop or host a conversation that took people someplace they wouldn't have gone to without me. So that may be sort of the umbrella that would come under.
Oh, I love that. Helping people see beyond themselves, see the possibilities that they didn't necessarily see were there.
Right. And usually it's a group. Like I'm not a one-on-one kind of person. I'm way too opinionated to be a coach, but I love working with groups and help groups work through things,
Yeah.
keeping them engaged and solving their own problems.
Oh, I love that. It's so groups and teams, and when you say groups, that I just threw in the word teams. Does that like and you nodded, yes. So does teams of people working together or groups as individuals?
Yes. A little bit of both. So, sometimes it's well, that's a tough one. It's people that are working together in an organization as opposed to people from, all over the place. And that
Yes.
could be, a team of 10 or 12 people, or it could be, hosting a meeting like a dealer meeting with 40 or 50 people, or hosting a town forum with 200 people. But, so not so much the number of people, but they have something in common that's holding them together. So it could be an organizational structure, a value, something like that.
No, I love that. That clarifies it, right? So it's that team of they're working towards some common goal, or they're in a space where there is commonality. They're all working. They're interconnected in a way,
Okay,
versus just a random group of people.
so I'm going to step out of process here now and look at at the process. So let's say that I am someone that I've now had my first conversation with you.
Yep.
And then is that like an induction call or an introductory call, or what happens next? Like how would we be working with each other, and how long would we be working with each other?
Okay, great call. Yeah, the very first, I mean, after the first call is typically I sort of sit down and figure out what their goals are for
Mhm.
the process. What do they really want? What do they want to achieve with working together? And it's a partnership. It's not, I'm a guide. I'm a coach. I don't tell you what to do, but I
Mhm.
ask questions and I listen and I try to get out from you what matters.
Okay.
So it's a first session is always about what are your goals overall, and it's an onboarding session I call it. And then my typical plans are over 6 months.
Okay.
I work with people every couple of weeks, every week to every couple of weeks, depending on the need in life. Um, 6 months because it takes time to make change.
Yeah.
Life happens along the way, and every session that I end every session with, you have an action plan to take away.
Okay.
So it's sort of like what's the core insight from our session, and what's an action plan that you're going to do moving forward, and trying to make them as small as possible. So we help work on crystallizing their goal and their vision and getting that really meaty and good, and then working on blocks throughout the process of what's holding them back from taking actions,
Okay.
and also
Mhm.
then helping support and take actions, and helping be a bit of an accountability person for them as well.
And so are we doing this, is it face to face? Is it on Zoom like we're doing now, or does it depend? Like what are some of the different ways that someone might work with you?
Right now, face to face or on Zoom are the ways, and it's like 95% Zoom at the moment.
Okay.
uh, because and I find it's like that's what the beauty of our world and technology is. It saves a lot of commute times. And I can help people anywhere in the world, which is also fun. I have clients in the US, I have clients on the West Coast in Canada, I have clients in Toronto, and I do in person in Toronto occasionally, but most of my clients, it's like the traffic in Toronto sucks.
Oh. Yes, I don't miss that. Yes. It's a technical term I think is acceptable here. So so someone's listening to this podcast. What are some things they should ask themselves that help them realize that maybe it's time for them to make a change and should go to someone else? Like what are the warning signs or some of the flags that say, you know what, maybe it's just kind of slow down, stop, step back, and think about doing something different. How would someone listening know that they should do that?
Yeah, that's such a great question because an awareness is the first thing, right? And to do this work, you need to be aware and wanting to do the work because it is work. Um, and the warning signs that I see with my clients are burnout. Um, they feel undervalued. They're successful, but they're undervalued. They're not necessarily seen or heard anymore in the same way. Um, and it's impacting all of their lives, right? So the burnout is the big sort of like, okay, I'm exhausted and burned out, and that impacts the relationships throughout their lives, their family, their friends, everything. And it's like, are you getting out of bed excited to go to work, or not?
So let's say people now have that awareness. What are some of the barriers or what needs to be overcome in order for them to be able to make the step? Like what are the reasons that people use? They've recognized this, but they're not willing to take the step. What are some of the reasons or excuses that they use for not actually stepping out?
So the biggest reason is fear, and the biggest excuse is money. And it's fear, they throw up the money because they're scared to actually go in and do the work. And the fear is it's our human condition to want certainty and want to know what's on the other side. And they fear that they're going to blow up their life. And it's like, but they can't see how the positive, like the growth from it, is going to happen. And people don't have to blow up their lives. They just have to, it's not about that. Like I have clients that have quit their jobs
Mhm.
and are successfully following an incredibly new career path for themselves. And I have clients that have just, they've reassessed and reshifted their mindsets so that they're still in the job and the career they are, but they're looking at achievement differently. And they're getting fulfillment in other areas of their life to support whole life versus what they always thought it was. My identity is my job, my work. And that's the only thing that matters.
So if it wouldn't be too invasive, and it is, just give me a hand signal. No one will know what you're doing. But if you'd be willing to talk through the sort of the thought process that you went through, because you had a corporate job, presumably you're getting paid reasonably well. So the challenges that you just described, other people went through. I have a hunch that you might have gone through something similar yourself. So, if you could talk about the path that you went through, so people have a sense of what that flow might look like, would that be okay?
Yeah, absolutely. No, I appreciate that. And absolutely, it's what the path that I went through. And for me, it took a toxic workplace
Mm.
and me getting sick. Um, uh, Sick in to break down before I could disconnect from my identity. My identity was all about work and independence and showing up and being successful with like outwardly successful. And I got vertigo
Oh,
uh in a really weird way. And I got every test imaginable. I'm like, you're fine. I'm like, okay, I'm not fine. I'd get up from my desk and I would be like a little unstable and hold the wall and then I could walk. And I had a couple of sessions where I actually was driving north, and stopped off for a lunch break and got out of my car and had vertigo enough that I sort of fell down. And I'm like, at that
wow.
point, I was like, there's something wrong.
That'd be scary.
It was scary, and what I hate is that, so many people have to get to this rock bottom type of place, and I felt it was rock bottom for me, and I disconnected from work. I said, "Okay, it's not that I'm not gonna do a good job, but I have no emotional involvement in my work anymore. I care too much." And it was like, I gotta care about me. And so then I was on the path to building myself back up, and then I started asking for help. And found a way that I started um meeting new people
Hmm,
and changing the people around me and in my life, and then things changed. It's like
interesting.
that you surround the people the people you surround yourself with, you kind of look around and you're similar to them. And so if you want to change, you need to change the people around you sometimes.
Like, don't try to stop smoking when you're having a beer in a bar.
that that's a good question. That's a good point. Yes.
Not that I've gone through that myself, but I've heard people talk about that. So, just to put a realistic time frame on this, so how long did it take you from the time that you started to feel it to the time you had vertigo to the time that you started surrounding yourself with different people and until felt that, oh, right, I've got this. I'm on a new path and I love it. Like I
Mm.
imagine it wasn't flipping a switch and a week later it's like boom.
No, years. So it was 2018 to 2023.
Wow. Wow. Through some extra tough times there as well. Wow.
Yes, there's some, well, there's the COVID period that sort of so without COVID, I might have been sooner along, but no, it took me like 5 years at least to figure it out for myself and have the courage to step out and do what I knew I really wanted to do, knowing that it is not, I don't know what the outcome's gonna be, and I know that I'm gonna be okay.
So can we dive into that for just a sec? Because, there was that realization, it figured it out, but there could be a big gap between figuring it out and doing something about it. You use the term courage, which I think is really important. So, what tipped you over? What tipped you into that willingness to be courageous and step out in the spite of a non-guaranteed outcome from trying something different? How did you do that?
Well, with support from my coach, definitely, and with doing the inner work. It's doing all the work before to say it's, understanding who I am and what's important to me, and learning and growth and challenges and adventure are all a big part of who I am. And it's like, how can I take this part of my next chapter in life and say, this is an adventure? It's like, that's what worked for me. I had to reframe and do the work to understand inside that I don't need to prove to anybody anything. And I've been proving to think people all my life. And it's like I just had to prove to me that now is the time for me. And part of me is like, I wish I'd done it 10 years earlier. And the other part of me knows I'm exactly where I needed to be when I needed to do it.
You know, that
So
that
it's just, yeah,
that
help.
that hard look in the mirror. So in your role as a coach helping people through this and you know, besides, so some people look at, oh, David, you could do it, rah, 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 rah. And I never found that particularly works very well. So, what kind of encouragement or how do you support someone making that leap into doing something new beyond just like the rah, rah, you can do it, buddy,
Yeah.
go for it?
Yeah. That is lovely. And it's not really effective.
Hmm.
It's helping, it's helping letting people know. So I'm a safe, confidential space. It's like I've got their back no matter what, completely non-judgmental. Like what they do or how they do it is not my worry. It's about supporting them as the person. And oftentimes when people come coaching, they've never really been seen or heard for them, actually seen as the person that they want to be. So I'm the support there to say, I get you, I hear you, I see you, and I challenge you. Like my goal is to challenge people to like, is that really true? And so there's a little bit of a hard knock. And it's like, and this is why like there's a million coaches and there's a million people for all of the coaches because it's a fit thing as well. It's like, yeah, I challenge my clients and they want that. They don't want to be told, oh, it's okay, you had a bad day. No. What are you going to do about it? And what lesson did you learn from it? And what's your next step? Right. So I cheer them on and I celebrate them. And I mean, with most of us in our world don't look at ourselves and celebrate who we are and what we've done already. So to me, that's not rah rah. It's helping people see that they actually have amazing gifts and have done amazing things and they get to celebrate themselves and be seen for that. That was long-winded. Did that make sense?
Yeah, perfectly. And I have a number, it's triggered a number of other questions as well. So, first of all, I do want to say that I'll make sure for those of you that are listening that Laura's contact information will be in the program notes. So, go back to it there if you want to reach out to her. So, this question I have for you is that some people, like a lot of people, decide I don't like my job, I'm going to be a coach. And I have seen some coaches that start to coach before they've actually got themselves figured out.
Hmm.
So if someone was looking for a coach, what criteria would you use to determine if this is someone that can actually help me versus they're helping me because they're really trying to help themselves by doing this? Is that kind of obscure enough?
No, it's perfect. And I have two answers because the first answer is going to be I'm always a work in progress. So I'm still always helping myself. And I finally accepted that there's no end game when I get here. I get to keep evolving and experiencing and growing. So I think everybody on this planet is a work in product progress until we're no longer here. Um, but what matters most is from my point of view is the connection and the actual feeling that the person feels that I feel safe for them and I can hear them and see them and this is a good fit. It's a relationship building place. It's like I have clients that I potential clients that I've met that I refer to other my friends because it's like I
Mhm.
know you're a better fit over here.
Right.
And so it has to have a fit. They have to feel that I can help them and that's through just ongoing conversation with them to figure that out together.
So, and I'm asking you a lot of coaching related questions because I know that some people are curious about this. So, how do you know when it's time to release your coach? I don't want to say fire your coach, but how do you know when they're not serving you? What are some of the warning signs?
That's a great question. It's it's uh it's when you're feeling like you're like here's the thing, it's to me, it's when you're on the path and you're making progress and you're in a zone where you're uncomfortable, but it's all feeling good and you feel like you've got it.
Mhm.
And and to add to that though, it's like there your coach can always be there. Um, and come and go in different seasons of your life. It's like I worked with a coach constantly for like a year and a half. And then it's like, yeah, I got this. I'm moving on. I've made breakthroughs. I've come to another level. And now I'm re-engaging with them again because I'm at a different level. I have different challenges. And it's like, okay, yes, I need you for this. And I have more than one coach because this I have a business coach and I have a mind coach. It's so there's no simple answer to that. I don't know. It's individual. It's up to you. You got to feel good.
So my question, because I'm just thinking that's a good answer. I was looking for something different because what I was really asking, not when you no longer need your coach, but when you go, bad coach,
Oh,
like when the person is actually doing you harm. That's really what I was looking for. Because
got it. Well, that to me is that's a gut. You got to trust your intuition. You got to like go. There's something off here. This is not working anymore. This person is not serving me. It's like anything in your life. If it's not serving you anymore, you have to take a hard look at it and say, is that true, or is it truth? There's a difference between true and truth,
Mhm.
and how is it not serving you, so that you're actually looking at it objectively because we create our world from our own beliefs and experiences and everything from within us, so challenging your own beliefs of if it's working or not working
Yeah, the
is it.
sorts of things that I'm thinking about are that so when I hear you talk, it's like you're partnering with your coach, right? You're on the same levels,
Yes.
working with each other. I think I've heard of a circumstance where someone heard someone is an amazing coach. They could change so many lives, and so you get into sort of the worshiping of the coach.
Mm.
And even though he or she may be doing you harm, you don't want to acknowledge because everyone else is the good coach. So, I think you're responsible. You have to trust your intuition and pay attention to what's working for yourself and be mindful, all the
Yes.
time when you're in coaching, not just kind of, make your success a function of the coach.
Yeah, that's a huge thing that you just said there. No one, none of my clients' success is a function of me. It's a function of them doing the work. I'm just here to act as the guide to challenge them and ask them questions to see help them and support them along the way. But it's not my success. Their success doing the work, and I don't give any. I provide a space and I give value so that they can step into the potential that they have, but it's up to them, and every win is their, not mine.
And I think that that means it's incumbent upon anyone looking for a coach to be clear what they want the coach to do for them. Because so I'm paying you just to ask me what I think I should be doing. What's that about? Where some people go and say, like, if you're going to in sports, you're going to a coach because you want them to improve your skills,
Yeah.
right? Which is different. So being clear on what you're hoping to have out of that relationship with the coach is important. Okay, I think I might have one. I have 100 more questions, but I'll limit it. So if without revealing any, anything confidential, there any come to mind of what a person has gone to from before they started working to you? So before to after, like some of the transitions people went through without revealing anything that would be identifiable.
Absolutely, absolutely. Most of my clients, what they say to me is before working with me, they felt overwhelmed or stuck, unsure of what to do, but just tired. And after working with me, they had clarity and a sense of their own agency again. And they also have all said it's not easy.
Mhm, mhm,
And I made them uncomfortable.
mhm,
They made themselves uncomfortable in a good way, because we need to be in discomfort to get growth. But just having a sense of your own agency again, where you actually stand, you make choices for yourself, and then you get the feedback, and then you make new choices and you get feedback, and you get new choices and you get feedback. And that's where the power has been with my clients. And they're like, I feel it's not easy, but it's simple. And they keep doing the work.
Like I would guess that not everyone has to jump from what they were doing to something totally different. Do you ever find there's some people that just by having these conversations, they don't actually change where they were working, but they change the way they're looking at it and all of a sudden feel better about that? Like, does that ever happen, or does it always require going from one job to a totally different career?
No, no, that's a great question. No, my one client, she's like, I got to get out of here. Like, I can't handle it anymore. And through our coaching, I helped her see what she was doing to herself in the workplace and how she could learn to communicate different and interact differently. And she's like happily still there going, I now have my life again. And she's still in her job, but it's from a totally different mindset and approach. And she still is her, but she's not taking on all of the things personally and professionally and like taking it, like having to do everything. So no, you don't have to change careers. It's about changing your mindset and finding out what's important to you and meaningful to you. And then how are you living that?
Mm,
Right?
mm.
Then a lot of the times there's a values gap going in, because they've been so successful doing what they're doing, and it's an identity shift thing that happens, and it's they're working hard, and it's like it's not working for me anymore. Yes, the money's coming in, but my life isn't where I want it to be. And so it's an identity shift and a mindset shift that it's really happened. So it has nothing to do with the actual workplace.
So, I mean, everything that you've said, what you do, the themes that are running through it are change of some sort. People usually, I would imagine, don't come to a coach because I want validation that I don't have to do anything differently, right? There's something that says there's something inside that has to change, but that change could be around attitude, perspective. It could be about the work you do, or it could be about the way that you do the work that you do. But it's all about
Absolutely.
finding someone you trust to help you think through that, which is sometimes it's just impossible to do ourselves as smart as we might think we are.
Yeah, it's really hard to do yourself. You can't see the label from inside the jar. It's like we get stuck in our own heads, and it's like someone else can see things in us that we can't see it ourselves, and that's helping you uncover that and see that and recognize that in yourself. is powerful. And those are the big shifts, right? Those are the shifts when you start to see yourself as the person who you want to be or who you actually are. And then
Mm.
having creating action steps to get to the person to be who you want to be every day. Does that make sense?
Yeah, well, it does. And I think, one of the things that you said that's really important is those small steps, because sometimes getting from A to B is too big a leap. I can't even imagine that. But, if you
Correct.
could do little steps that kind of get some momentum going, overcome the inertia is just, is what's needed. The coach can keep you on that path. The metaphor or the game that I think of is where the hoop and the stick, where the hoop is rolling along the ground and you tap it periodically to keep it
Yes.
going. And if you
Yes.
tap it too frequently, it doesn't add value. And if you don't tap it frequently enough, then it wobbles and falls over and it's hard to get it started again. So just finding the right rhythm for those touch points with a coach to keep you on a path that's better for you.
I love that analogy. Yes, starting is the hardest part. Once you get in momentum, you stay in momentum, and the touch points along the way to help keep that momentum fueled is a beautiful thing. It's like my business coach says, I'm not the spark, I'm the fuel. Like you
Ah,
have to have the spark within you.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
you have to create your own spark, and then she fuels me to go where I need to go.
Love
So
that.
that's
Love
pretty
that.
cool.
So my hope is that some people that are listening to this are responding in a number of different ways. And one is if someone's already having a coach, it's like, yeah, that was a good decision. I'm glad I'm doing that. And for someone that hasn't yet, they might start thinking about it. So Laura, I thank you so much. It's so wonderful to meet you and to be with me here today on Discover Fresh Perspectives.
Thank you. It's been my pleasure. It's been an awesome conversation. I could talk about this forever.
We may have to have you back. So this has been David Gouthro, another episode of Discover Fresh Perspectives. Come on back next week. All I can guarantee is that it'll be a different person with a different perspective. Thank you so very much. Subscribe now, because on Fresh Perspectives, every episode is an opportunity to explore new horizons and redefine what's achievable.